Salt and sugar, they're like the four-letter words when it comes to your diet nowadays. Now, there used to be a time when it was easy to tell how much you were eating. You know, a teaspoon of sugar, a pinch of salt, but now, how much of that stuff is really in your food? It's a bit of a gamble unless you read those labels very carefully, which is why we called on our health expert to tell us exactly how much of the sweet and salty stuff we should really be eating.
A diet high in sodium can lead to high blood pressure, which is a major cause for heart disease. Sodium is found in salt, so it's one component of salt, and also comes from a few other things in food. But it's really not the salt that we add at our table or add when we're cooking that's the major problem. There's really high sodium in a lot of processed foods.
So it's like stealth sodium, right?
Yeah, you don't know it's there all the time. It's in a lot of things that don't even seem salty, like cereals or things like that, you know, you think of chips and popcorn.
Yeah.
But things like cereals or cookies you wouldn't really think about. It's added as a preservative and also as a flavor agent, so people like the taste of salt in their food. So the recommended amount for Canadian adults is 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. So that's about 1 teaspoon of salt.
That's it?
Yeah,
wow.
But most of that is coming from the processed foods. About 77% of the sodium we get is actually from packaged foods.
And how much are we really eating right now?
Canadians are getting on average about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day.
So that's more than twice as much as we should be eating.
Yeah, so more than double the recommendation.
Oh, so what's the easiest way to cut it out?
The easiest way is by really reducing that sodium in the processed foods. So comparing products so that you're looking for foods that are lower in sodium. You can do that by using the Nutrition Facts panel. They'll list sodium on all of their packages, and so you want to compare for products that are lower in sodium.
All right, so that's one S word down. Now there's the sugar, the one that I love so much, and we shouldn't be eating as much of it as we are.
Yeah, there is a lot of added sugar that we're getting in our diets, and so like salt, it's added to some things that you might not think about, like sweetened yogurts, or then there's
even the healthy stuff that you think you're eating.
But then there's the things that you know contain sugar, so things like candy, sweets, desserts, and pop is a big offender. There's not necessarily a recommendation on how much you should eat per day. The Health Canada recommendation is just to limit foods that are high in sugar.
Okay.
So basically to eat less of those things that you know are high in sugar, so pop, drink water instead, or limit sweets, things like that. And you can also compare products using the Nutrition Facts table again to choose foods that are lower in sugar. If you like kind of that sweet flavor, what you can try doing is adding some fruit slices to your water, or mixing in a bit of 100% fruit juice, just a splash of it added to the water, kind of gives it that nice color and flavor so that you don't feel like you're just drinking plain water all the time.
And they seem innocent enough, just those teeny tiny granules in your kitchen cabinet, but too much salt and sugar can really have a big and negative impact on your health. So are you watching your consumption? Well, we hit the street to find out just that.
I had a medical checkup and I was having too much salt, so I've been cutting down on salt and on everything.
So how do you cut back on the salt?
Well, it's you can get this other stuff that's tastes almost like salt, but it's not quite, and it seems to work.
Well, both. I'm just pretty conscious of what I eat, and I just try to make sure that not having too much sugar, too much salt, and I would buy, maybe if I was getting something, I would check the labels.
I rarely eat salt anyways to begin with. I don't really like salt that much, so. And for sugar, I like the occasional sweet, but it's not a big issue for me.
Read the labels on the boxes of whatever I'm buying. Usually use that as a sort of a barometer of what I should get, that kind of thing.
Yes, they do. Yes, very much so.
And what do you do to make sure you're not eating too much?
I don't put it on top of my food, and I read my labels. Check the labels. Yeah.
Chickens infected with salmonella bacteria may produce eggs that are contaminated. Contaminated eggs may not look, smell, or taste any different than regular eggs. Salmonella bacteria may be found inside intact eggs and cannot be removed by washing alone. Refrigerate eggs so as to slow the growth of salmonella bacteria. Wash hands before and after handling raw eggs. Thoroughly cook eggs in order to kill salmonella bacteria that may be present.
Today's Health Check is brought to you by KFL&A Public Health, working together for better health. Visit kflapublichealth.ca.